In the year 1629, the famous town of Salem is settled. It's remembered for the awful events that took place, known as the Salem witch trials. This all started in 1641 when English laws make witchcraft a capital crime. In 1884, English declares that the colonists may not govern themselves, so they're under the rule. In 1688, the first claim is made. Following an argument with the laundress Goody Glover, Martha Goodwin begins exhibiting bizarre behavior. Days later, her younger brothers and two sisters exhibit similar behavior. She is arrested and tried for bewitching the Goodwin children. Reverend Cotton meets twice with Glover following her arrest in an attempt to persuade her to repent of her witchcraft. Glover is hanged. 4 years later, on January 20th, 1692, 11-year-old Abigail Williams and 9-year-old Elizabeth Parris begin behaving much like the Goodwin children acted 4 years earlier. Soon, other girls begin acting similarly. In mid-February of 1692, Dr. Griggs, who attended to the afflicted girls 4 years earlier, suggests that witchcraft may be the cause of their strange behavior. Pressured by the townspeople to find out who caused this girl's behavior, Elizabeth identifies Tituba. Later, other girls in the town accuse Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne of witchcraft. On February 29th, the following women are arrested: Tituba, Sarah Good, and Sarah Osborne. Tituba confesses to practicing witchcraft on March 1st and confirms that Sarah Good and Osborne are her co-conspirators. On March 11, 1692, Ann Putnam Jr. shows symptoms of being afflicted of witchcraft. Mercy Lewis, Mary Walcott, and Mary Warren later allege affliction as well. The following day, Ann Putnam accuses Martha Corey of witchcraft. Later followed on March 19th, Abigail Williams denounced Rebecca Nurse as a witch. Paranoia increases in the town. On March 23, 1692, Salem Marshal Deputy Samuel Barabach arrests 4-year-old Dorcas Good. Accusations continue. Elizabeth Proctor is accused of witchcraft. Cloyance, after defending her sister Rebecca Nurse, is also accused of witchcraft. Elizabeth's husband, John, becomes the first man accused of witchcraft on April 11, 1692. April 30th, several girls accuse former Salem minister George Brotz of witchcraft. Sarah Osborne dies in prison on May 10, 1962. June 2nd, Bridget Bishop is the first to be tried and convicted of witchcraft. She is sentenced to die. Days later, on June 10th, Bridget Bishop is hanged at the Gallows Hills. With many of the trials, spectral evidence is showed, and on June 15th, 1692, Cotton Mather writes a letter requesting the court not to use this and asks that the trials be speedy. June 16, yet another innocent dies in prison. Roger Toothaker dies. June 29th through 30th of 1692, Rebecca Nurse, Susanna Martin, Sarah Wilds, Sarah Good, and Elizabeth Howe are tried guilty and sentenced to be hung. Sarah Good had been pregnant and gave birth in prison, but was hung on July 19th beside Rebecca Nurse, Susanna Martin, Elizabeth Howe, and Sarah Wilds at the Gallows Hills. August 5th, 1692, George Jacob Sr., Martha Carrier, George Brotz, John Willard, and John and Elizabeth Proctor are pronounced guilty and sentenced to hang. On August 19th, all are hung, except for Elizabeth Proctor because she's pregnant. September 9th, Martha Corey, Mary Eastley, Alice Parker, Anne Prudeter, Doris Hoare, and Mary Bradbury are also pronounced guilty and sentenced to hang. Trials continue on September 17th. Margaret Scott, William Redd, Samuel Warden, Mary Parker, Abigail Fokker, Rebecca Ernst, Mary Lacey, Ann Foster, and Abigail Hobbs are tried and sentenced to hang also. Abigail escapes execution by confessing to the crimes of witchcraft. On October 19th, Governor Phipps prohibits further arrests and releases many accused witches and dissolves the court of Or and Terminator. The court establishes a superior court to try the remaining witches. Scriptural evidence is no longer allowed in court. When this was proclaimed in January of 1693, 49 of the 52 surviving people brought into the court on witchcraft charges are released. In May of 1693, the rest of the witches who are in prison are pardoned. January 14th of 1697, the General Court orders a day of fasting and soul-searching for the tragedy at Salem. In 1902, the General Court declares that the 1692 witch trials were unlawful. One of the leading accusers publicly apologizes for her actions in 1706. In 1957, Massachusetts formally apologizes for the events that took place 1692 in the prison and at the Memorial Place now stands where the famous trials once took place.